Larry in Michigan on the Democrats line. Good morning.
Good morning.
We can hear you, Larry. Go ahead.
Okay. I've been listening to Mr. Shirley, and this is America, and he has a right to sell a book. And I was reading, maybe last year, reading a book, and there was a 19th century English political pundit, and someone in the audience asked him what his definition of a politician was. He didn't give a gender. And the author said, my definition of a politician is someone who sees light at the end of the tunnel and orders more tunnel.
Craig Shirley.
I think that's a great definition. I think H.L. Mencken once said the only way to look at a politician is down. There have been a lot of great definitions of politicians. Historically in this country, to this caller's point, is that we have had a healthy, and I consider it a healthy low regard for politicians because the people have always understood that the term civil servant meant something, or public servant meant something, is that elected officials work for the American people and not the other way around. And I think that makes this country unique, and it's something we should never get away from.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Monica joins us on the Independent line.
Hi. I just wanted to say that I really believe that Ronald Reagan was a very overrated president for the middle-class people. I think the Republicans are extremely despicable the way they use ignorance and lack of knowledge of issues like health care. They flat out lie, and I think that is awful. Things like health care, if people only knew that this wasn't going to be socialized medicine, but they use these words and upset everyone.
Mr. Shirley?
Well, I'd like to ask the caller one question, and that is that as far as Reagan and the middle class, is that if she or her children or grandchildren sleep better at night without Soviet missiles pointed at their heads because of Ronald Reagan, he destroyed the Soviet Union, and there aren't tens of thousands of Soviet missiles pointed at the United States today because of Ronald Reagan, and that in and of itself should qualify him as a great president. I don't think he's overrated at all, and I look at this as an historian, and I look at this factually, but I would say to the caller, don't take my word for it. Take the word of two liberal historians, John Patrick Diggins and James McGregor Burns, both who were political liberals, both who rated Ronald Reagan in the category of great presidents alongside of Washington, Lincoln, and Franklin Roosevelt. Their criteria being is that did these men liberate, were they great liberators? Did they liberate many, many people? And the answer, obviously, in the case of all four presidents, the answer is yes. And so that, by the standard of liberal historians, they rate Ronald Reagan as a great American president.
Let's try to get a couple more phone calls here for Craig Shirley. Beckington, Georgia. Brenda on the Republican line.
Hi, good morning,
Morning.
Miss Shirley.
Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving.
To you, too.
Thank you.
I would just like to ask you a question about, or tell you why there are some people like me out here that is really fascinated with Sarah Palin. She is a down-to-earth lady. She does not lie. She's not a usual politician. And I would also like to inform the Democrats that they were in power for 40 to 50 years before 1994. That is when the Republicans took over Congress. So they can't blame everything on the Republican Party.
All right, Brenda, what advice would you give to Sarah Palin?
Keep doing what she's doing. Round out her appeal with policy speeches on foreign policy, her view of government, her view of populism, her view of the American people. Maybe do a weekly column to expand her horizons as far as various issues, things like that. I think what I would say to Governor Palin is you want to get beyond being just a personality, and get into just specific issues. And great politicians have signature issues, that they were identified with, and she might. There's a signature issue out there that she could associate with and make herself identified with.
You just referred to her as Governor Palin, and often you hear more often people are saying just Sarah Palin.
Right, right.
Did you intentionally make that, call her governor because you think she needs to be called governor?
No, I don't think
Sarah
she needs to
Palin?
be called governor, but I'm old-fashioned. I think that they fought for the title.
Yeah.
They earned it, and we owe it to them to give it. So Newt Gingrich should be Speaker Gingrich, and Obama should be President Obama. I think that one way to lower the animosity in the debate here is to have a more civilized debate, is to remember that people have feelings and maybe some good manners are called for, so that it should be Governor Palin, it should be President Obama.
Next phone call, the last phone call here, Largo, Florida. Scott on the Democrats line. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning.
Happy holidays.
Likewise.
I was going to talk about 3 points, but I'll just make it 2 because we're running short here on time. Guns. Conservatives say that they one of the 10 points that they think conservatives should run on is guns. You're hypocrites when it comes to guns. You tell us that we should be supporting the laws that we have, yet we saw Dick Cheney a few years ago out doing an illegal act, and he shot somebody in the face. It was a crime to hunt without a license, so he actually shot somebody while committing a crime. But yet we let him get away with it. Oh, he didn't know the laws. Well, most people that don't know the laws are prosecuted for him. Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
All right, Scott, we'll leave it there. Craig Shirley?
I can't. I'm not a spokesman for Dick Cheney. I can't speak to. I mean, I'm familiar with the incident. I'm sure that the guy who shot in the face has his own opinion about that incident as well. In the interest of full disclosure, the NRA is a client of my firm, so you should know that I'm very much in favor of the Second Amendment and private ownership of guns. I don't think that Republicans or conservatives are hypocrites on the issue. Everything that has ever come out of the NRA and all responsible gun owners is that the law is the law, and it should be enforced, and it should be prosecuted regardless of political affiliation or political position or economic status or whatever else.
Rendezvous with Destiny is the new book. How did the 1980 campaign change the leadership of the Republican Party after Reagan became president?
Well, Reagan is an iconic figure now inside the Republican Party, and you see it. You know, nobody runs around calling themselves a Richard Nixon Republican or a Rutherford B. Hayes Republican. They all call themselves Reagan Republicans. It doesn't mean they always understood what he stood for, and it doesn't mean that they don't remember how much the Republican Party establishment tried to destroy his last candidacy. In 1980. So all those things have been the gauze of history over 30 years. A lot of those things have been forgotten. But he certainly changed the party because he made it more of a anti-government and more pro-individual, cutting its moorings from the national government, putting more responsibility and more faith in the states and the individual and the localities. And he reignited a debate in this country that had been lost over the previous 50 years.
Rendezvous with Destiny, Ronald Reagan, and the campaign that changed America. Craig Shirley, happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.